Hello, my name is Hector Velasquez, and welcome to another episode of GCS AA Inside the Shop. What a better time than ever than to go out into that boneyard, find that good piece of equipment that would make a great candidate for restoration. Because today we're going to be giving you some ideas on how to bring in that old piece of equipment and making it look like new. All right, for this project, we're going to be using a vintage air compressor. I picked this up at a garage sale for $10. Absolutely great find, and I'm really excited to get this project going. Now, we're going to be doing this just like any other project. We're going to be using Rust-Oleum products, spray rattle cans. We got body filler by Bondo, and make sure you're wearing your PPE, and we have other items that we're going to be using as well. Now, I would like to introduce you to our guest technician that's going to be helping us out with this project. Let me just get this tank off here real quick.
Hello, I'm John Borsos, mechanic, South Park Golf Course, Pittsburgh, PA.
John, thank you for helping us out. I'm really excited to be working with you with this project. Now, we're going to get this tank out. All right, John, this thing looks really bad. I don't know, man. What do you think? What would be the next steps from here on out?
If say I'm building something at work, after it's fabricated, I'm sanding down all the metal to bare metal.
All right, so I'm going to be using a wire brush to get this kind of cleaned up. I don't want to clog up my sandpaper. Now I'm going to be going through various stages of sandpaper, and grit that you use will depend on your project.
Any painting project you do, the painting is the easy part, really. Prep is where the key to what your paint job is going to come out as. If you rush it, it's going to show. Simple as that.
All right, that's one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to rush. I appreciate that. Now we got our tanks cleaned up, ready. I'm going to take this a little bit step further. I'm going to move my vise to the middle of my bench. And what's unique about these tanks, they have a stud at the bottom that I can use to support them on here. And this is going to help me out for my next step. Now I'm going to clean that project up with electric cleaner. I like it because it evaporates and it leaves no residue. Now this project has a lot of dings, dents that it's going to show once I paint it. So I want to take care of that. And the way we take care of that is using body filler. All right, you want to get parchment paper. You want to make sure you're using the glossy side up. And this is for our Bondo. Wrap it around this rubber mat here real quick. All right, here's our filler. We got our spatula. Make sure we're wearing our PPE. And let's see what we got here. Okay, this is the hardener. We're going to take care of that in a minute. What's this here? Trash. All right, let's move on. First thing we want to do before we get started with this Bondo is we want to mix up our hardener. So I'm going to bleed any air in the tube, put the cap back on, and I'm just going to turn it, mix it, make sure if there's any separation that occurred, we get it mixed up. And I'm going to grab a scoop of about maybe the size of a golf ball and put that on the parchment paper, and I'm going to use a little bit of hardener. It's a really warm day today, so I don't want this setting up too fast. Now when you mix it, you want to spread it. You don't want to stir it because then you'll start introducing air into the putty, and we don't want to do that. Now once you have it all even, you got all that blue out of there, we're ready. And we got about a 10-minute window, so we got to kind of hurry up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try to fill in all the cracks, the nooks, and the crannies in this project. We got to speed it up here. This stuff is starting to set. Okay, so after about 20-30 minutes, this body filler is ready to be sanded. Now I'm going to start off with a 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to start working my way down to about 320 grit. Now because we are only filling nooks and crannies, I'm going to probably be taking a lot of this Bondo off. Here we are smoothing it out with a 320. And now we're ready for our first coat. I'm going to clean it up with electric cleaner. All right, now before we start any paint project, John, what advice do you have that's going to help us out?
Spray down your floor because it keeps the dust. Obviously you want to sweep before you do anything, just get the heavy stuff, but all that fine stuff, walking around, it just kicks dust up and it'll put it right in your project.
I know, that's something we didn't think about. All right, coming to rattle cans. I like keeping my rattle can about 8 to 12 inches from my project. And you want to keep your hand even or parallel with your project as you're spraying. You want nice, even strokes back and forth. And make sure you periodically keep your can shook up. Now, I like to overlap about 50 to 25% of the spray pattern, just like this. Now, you notice I'm releasing the trigger at the end of each pass. If you don't, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get runs on the ends, and nobody wants that. John, what do you think?
Don't get frustrated if you start getting runs when you first start painting. Everybody does it. No one lays down glass their first time painting. It definitely takes practice, but with some practice and going slow at first, you'll end up with a better outcome than trying to rush it.
All right, again, let's take our time. You notice here, I'm taking nice, even strokes all the way across the project. I'm releasing at the end of each pass. It's going to eliminate runs and also eliminate a lot of the overspray that you would create. And here we are, we're done. It has flashed off. I'm going to take a 400 grit sanding pad and I'm just going to smooth out my project and we're going to get ready for our top coat.
You want to paint till you have even coverage of the color. And like with rattle cans, it's usually, 2 coats is usually pretty good unless your overlaps weren't good.
All right, for my first coat, I like to just dust it on, just kind of give it a good base to work off of. And you're going to get a little bit of a better quality that way. Now this is after 3 coats, and my last coat, I'm just kind of like, dusting it on there. It's a metallic base paint, so I want to make sure it looks good.
Before you apply your clear coat, tack rag would be the number one thing to actually go over your base coat with before you clear. Because we want to eliminate any dust, dirt, anything that's on there before we spray the clear. Because anything that's left on there is going to show through the clear. A good window cleaner sprayed on with a lint-free cloth. Definitely do that before spray your clear coat.
Great advice. All right, so here we are with our first top coat. Again, you want to have nice, even coats. And the more you do this, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. So don't get discouraged your first time around. And here we are, finally done, 2 coats of clear, and this project is going to look awesome. I'm excited. I want to thank John Borsos for participating in this episode. And I really appreciate your advice and your expertise, bud. I want to thank you guys for joining us here today on GCS AA Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians 1 wrench at a time. Now to finish the rest of this project.